Great microblading starts with a really good pre-draw. The best way to get the perfect pre-draw is to have the best brow mapping pencils. So I am going to show you the tools I use and how I sharpen these pencils in order to create the best pre-draw. My favorite pencils would have to be the Dixon China marker. I get them in black. There is a 81 and a 77. The 81 is a thin lead and it's really good if you like to draw in your strokes to show the client what the microblading will look like. And then there is the 77. I like the 77 when you're doing the pre-draw brow mapping because it's a little softer and easier for those lines to just glide. Okay, so here is your brow mapping pencil, the 77. When you first get it, you're going to see this string. That is where you're going to start unraveling the paper. So you want to start just by pulling that string down, probably about ½ inch. That way you can open up this paper and you'll see that the paper actually has perforated lines to make it easier to pull off. So you want to ideally keep it on that perforated line so that it doesn't break off. Because I'm telling you, when this paper breaks off, it becomes a lot harder to sharpen your pencil. Just trust me on this one. Okay, so we don't need this. Throw that away. Now you're gonna have about, I don't know, 3/4 an inch of lead, and with this lead you're gonna want to sharpen it. We want it to look like a flathead screwdriver, I believe it's called. Okay, so now that I've taken the paper off, I have about, I would say, almost an inch of lead to work with. You want to make sure that when you're sharpening the pencil, you're using your blade, and you want to get a blade like this, and when you're using it, you want to make sure that the blade is flush against the lead and not coming straight down. If you come straight down, it will break the pencil, and the whole idea is to get a really thin, almost like a flathead screwdriver brow mapping pencil. So I actually like to sharpen it facing me. I feel like I have more control of the pencil, and what I do is I'm going to use my pinky right here. I'm gonna use my pinky to support the lead so that it doesn't break. If you don't do that, I promise you the lead will break off and you'll have to start all over. So just start holding underneath the lead and coming with the blade flush against the surface in a downward motion with a slight angle down. And just do a little bit at a time, working very slowly. And once you do that, and get a couple little shavings off, go ahead and turn it around, flip it upside down. So now you're on the other side of the lead, and you're gonna start working this side, shaving downward a little bit at a time. And if you notice, I like to use a tray because I feel like the tray keeps your area a little cleaner. That way I just take the tray and I empty it into the trash and I'm good to go. I don't have to clean up pencil shavings everywhere. So anyway, I'm supporting with my pinky. I'm coming flush to the lead, slightly down. And then I'm gonna work the other side again. I'm gonna go back and forth until I get this pencil to look like a flathead screwdriver. I promise you won't cut yourself as long as you are holding the blade flush to the lead. If you are holding it down like this, you will cut yourself, so don't do that. We don't want that. I'm gonna flip it again. And just a little tip, I like to have, a little pencil case with about 4 to 5 pencils already sharpened so that when my clients come in, I don't have to worry about doing this step. Because the worst thing is when you break one or your pencil gets dull and you have to sit there and waste time on sharpening the pencil. So just be prepared. Okay, so I'm going back and forth, almost there. Once I feel like I've sharpened it enough, what I'm gonna do, you can kind of see, it's starting to get a little edge to it. But when I wanna check it to see if it's fine enough, I just go on my hand and draw a line. And that line is perfect, right there. You really want thin brow mapping lines. If they're too thick, your microblading strokes will be off. The skeleton will be off. So see how this is flat, like this? Now, if you are one of those who like to do a pre-draw and draw the strokes in, it's going to be hard to do. It's almost like working with an angled blade. It's easier to do with a U blade, right? So what you can do is grab one of the 81 China markers and you're gonna do the same process, shaving it like a flathead screwdriver. But at the end, you're just going to shave a little bit off the side, just a little smidgen. I don't even know if that's a word. To make it more like a U blade. The goal is to get it so that it's rounded. And you're gonna have to soften those edges. So what I do is I kind of just run it against my hand and soften those edges. Now, it's a lot easier to draw those strokes with one that has a U blade. And we'll just call it the U blade brow mapping pencil. But this would be the 81 Dixon China marker. It's a thinner lead. I feel like it just creates better strokes. So now I can test it on my hand. Oh yeah, so much easier to draw these strokes. And you just kind of twist with your fingers to get that little curve.